So I'm down from Sheffield to vlog the City of London. I worked in here on and off back in the 1980s and 1990s. I had a horrendous day once in the head office branch of Midland Bank Poultry. Came in to do the communications and everything went wrong. Had some BT engineers take a load of lines down, the shunter took down. So I'd set off about 5:30 in the morning and I was at the Tower Thistle Hotel, and I walked out about 12 o'clock from the City of London, completely deserted, to my hotel, and that's the first time I started suffering with panic attacks in the early 90s and had to do something about them. So I was triggered walking back down from the city past the Tower of London. I started having panic attacks in this very spot. So I dealt with it using hypnotherapy, got to the root cause of what was causing them, and never looked back. It woke me up completely. So you can see the shard just there. I've just got to get across this really busy road first though. So there's a really good view on the shard just up there. I just want to show you this bit here. I think this is a bit of the old original Roman wall. I normally come in from a different angle and walk straight past it. So if you're awake, Dave Ebony and Miss Amersham, this is one for you. And say things don't add up about our history. So a stone wall once surrounded the City of London, and all that remain are these short sections. So I think originally it was built by, well, allegedly by the Romans, and then picked up by people after. But you can stop the screen and read the information on it. We're at Tower Hill Station, and that's the bit of wall. So whether it's Roman, whether it's whatever, there's something that doesn't add up about the history of London. Does it, Dave Ebony? You can find Dave's channel on YouTube, our Poppy's channel, in the actual description. Let's walk into the City of London now. And it should blow people's head, to tell you the truth. If it doesn't, I'll go and check. I'm going to pop down to the doctors and have a word with your doctor very quickly. So I used to know London City off by heart, but I struggle now. They've put some new buildings in. And the last time I got completely lost, but hopefully I'm on the right route this time, and I'll show you the periphery of it as we move in to London City. Got Tower Gateway there, that looks a bit run down, doesn't it? But it does get more exciting and out of this world once you get into the city. I'll say I first came to London in the 1970s, but first worked in London in 1985, coming to the City of London, and it's lost a lot of its quirkiness. But there's still some fantastic old buildings. Just trying to get my bearings at the moment. Once I get my bearings, I'll be alright. So according to this, I need to turn left onto Fenchurch Street, but what they've done is they've put some really tall buildings in, and it's just completely disorientated me. You can see the walkie-talkie up there. But one thing, we're starting to see more of this in all our cities, aren't we? There would have never been a busy place at weekends anyway. At certain times, everybody had just left the city of London. Once work had finished. And I think they've probably urbanised the city of London, to tell you the truth, because I think there's a lot more people hanging around nowadays than there would have been at a weekend in the past. But we'll get something a bit interesting and I'll carry on. So you can see Whitechapel over there, something on the building. London Ripper. I think that's the last time Sheffield United won the first division, if I'm right. About the time Jack Ripper was on the loose. I'm only joking, United supporters. Can't miss the opportunity. So it starts to get interesting now anyway. But they've changed the building so much that I used to just not need a map or anything. I ain't been in the city for over 20 years. I walked back in 20 years later and knew exactly where I was. Then the next year I came down. Just 1 year later I didn't know where I was in the city. But here we are now, walking through the city of London. They smashed down so much of what was fantastic in London. And a Sheffield company called Mappin Webb did, I think, cutlery, silverware, etc. had their base in London. I think it was at number 1 Poultry. And it got knocked down in the 1990s. And what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description to show you what Mappin Webb's building looked like, and you'll see what it looks like now. It's absolute disgusting, the modern building. But we've got lots of churches left in London. Remember the Great Fire of London? But you know, in the Great Fire of London hardly anybody died. Wouldn't you think if there was, how many, was it 100,000 people living in London? The old London in those days that got burned down, and just a couple, something like 2 or 3 people died. Can you believe that? There we've got the Gherkin. But like I said, it gets very interesting now. I was a 21-year-old lad when I first came down to work here in 1985. I was a little bit impressed, but a lot of the architecture's gone. It's all these modern builds now. But you've got the cheese grater there. I think that's Leadenhall Street. Cheese grater. But I showed you the city from the Thames if you've watched that video. But there was one quick thing I said to myself when I worked down here, how do I bring it back to Sheffield? That was back in the 1980s. I said, how do I bring it back to Sheffield? The wealth. I mean, it's a love-hate relationship for me, this. Got the Gherkin there against this. But like I said, there's lots of these old churches left from when people lived in the City of London, but then it became a financial district and people get pushed out. But I can only show you a glimpse of the City of London because of the time constraints. See the Bank of England in a moment. But a lot of the beautiful buildings got knocked down. I mean, you've got some of the alleyways between. I mean, you might not like it, because like I said, it's a love-hate relationship, but at the same time, you've got to be a bit impressed. So you've got the cheese grater because it looks like a cheese grater. I'd love to show you in Leadenhall Market, but I'm so struggling for time. Now this tower's over the buildings on Poultry. I'm going to show you in a moment because I've got a picture on the wall at home showing the old city with the new city sprawling over the top of it. So once I get into the old city, number 1 Poultry. But I've just got to go down and show you this, down this corner. I mean, it's got to blow your mind, hasn't it? I mean, if this don't blow your mind, I do suggest popping off to the doctor and just making sure you're all right. It's like I said, I hate modern architecture, but it has to blow your mind. Whether you like it or you hate it. I mean, you've got look at this. I'm sort of walking away from Poultry where I'm heading, but I've just got to show you around here. It's such a shame though, we've lost so many of the fantastic buildings in the city. We've still got the old churches though, they're absolutely everywhere, the old churches. They seem sacred for some reason. So we're right at the bottom of the Gherkin there. There's a really fantastic angle with the church on that one, where I showed you the old church this direction. I think there's another church building, but I'm going to get back on the route I was going to take you. So we've got the Lloyd's building here. That's quite old, the Lloyd's building, really. And you can see, I think that's a shard right in the distance. Like I'm feeling a bit disorientated now. I knew where I was going a moment ago, and now it's sort of blown my mind. When you see this sort of thing, you start to think how insignificant we all are. There, that's the one with the church against the shard. I mean, like, whether you love it or you hate it, you've got to be impressed with it. So I got my bearings back, but like I said, it's so difficult now. You've got the walkie-talkie up there, but I just don't want to get too diverted away from getting the coach back. At 6:30. So just around here is Leadenhall Market. It's just, that's another world in its own, Leadenhall Markets. But and look at it, I mean, it's wow, isn't it, really? I mean, I really slate my own city of Sheffield with the architecture, but I don't know about London. Like I said, it's a love-hate thing with me. I've never seen them build anything decent in Sheffield since the 19th century, whereas in London, yeah, it's modern, but it's just like out of this world. If you're going to build something that is actually impressive. We're getting into the older part of the city that still remains. Like I said, you wouldn't have seen this number of people in here in the past. Not at weekends. City always shut down at the weekends, because there's more and more people living in this area now. The banks have tended to move out down to the Docklands area. You've got to be careful. Some of the cyclists are actually worse than the car drivers in London. Look at that bit there. So when you look at these streets now, this is how most of the City of London used to be. Every single street looked like this. It was grand and elegant. And then somehow they managed to knock a lot of it down. I mean, just look at it. Like, I am actually impressed with this. Like I said, people who know me from the Sheffield videos know how much I slag off modern architecture. I mean, St Paul's Tower in Sheffield, it's a concrete block. It's got no feeling to it. At least I give it with the City of London. It's impressive. It makes you sort of think, wow, even though you might not like it. So we're sort of approaching Bank of England. Look at this. Wow. Like I said, they're all over the place, these. And look at the architecture in there. So whether these buildings are still used, I don't know. But they don't knock them down. Now, my recommendation is to watch the Spider's Web about London City Corporation. It's on YouTube, it's one of the best videos I've watched. And it really explains how London City has its own set of rules. So at 2:45 I've got another 3.5 hours. Change alley here. We had a change alley in Sheffield. I think it was a change alley in Sheffield, and it got knocked down. So we're coming to what I would call, it was once the centre of the modern world. And I'll stand right on the point. When we had an empire, and some people will go shock horror. But these were all banks, various little banks and insurance companies and all sorts, all got took over. Pope's Head Alley, just like a different world now. City and London Railway. So we got the Bank of England over here, and I didn't realise, I always thought London City was this special place I'd never been in. And I've been working in it from 1985 and I didn't realise that all these years I've been walking past the Bank of England just there, Lady of Threadneedle Street. I think that's a coin exchange. Looks like a Roman temple, that. But to me, this is a centre of what, to me, it was the modern world. when we had an empire. It's just... So just here we got Poultry and Princes Street, and this building here was the head office of Midland Bank originally. Then HSBC took us over, but I've took photos of this and I couldn't really take a photo to show people how impressive this area is. Now I've got a photo on my wall at home with this, like this, a bit further back. So you've got the old city and the modern city, and I've got that on my main wall. But you know, this to me is the centre, or was the centre of the modern world, but it's been changed, it's been reset. Just down here then was Midland Bank's head office on Poultry. I think the first bit was NatWest just here, if I got it right, and then the next building along. So we're on Poultry and Princes Street. This next building was Midland Bank's head office. Just here, it's now an hotel. So in here was the most fantastic banking hall, like something out of Dickens. It's called the Ned now. But as a 21-year-old, you stood outside here, or even on that corner, and I'm saying to myself, how do I bring this back to Sheffield? And I've had that thought in my mind since I was about 21. So this is now the Ned Hotel, and was Midland Bank's head office. Probably nobody knows that anymore. Just see it as the Ned Hotel. Beautiful banking hall in it. Then this was NatWest, if I remember it rightly. And just look at the stuff on it. Somebody carved that, really. Then is that a lion? Is it a griffin? I don't know. But this is just splendour of another world. It's like we didn't do this, if you know what I mean. So it used to be like, you used to come out of here. I used to park at Brent Cross, come in on the underground and come out of here. Imagine what I used to feel like when 21-year-old just coming out here and seeing all this. But we didn't have all this blue stuff towering above it. It was just beautiful granite buildings like this. Like I said, there would have been no people in it at weekends like there is now. I don't know, something's changed about it. So this is one view in it, Dave Ebony. But who's not impressed? Are they going to see the doctor on Monday morning? If you stop watching the video after 5 minutes and didn't wait for this, what can I say? But now I'm going to show you what was Sheffield's Mappin Webb building was here. The most awful bit of architecture. I think it was built in about 1994. But this was a wonderful old world building. And they allowed it to be knocked down and replaced by this. So Mappin Webb from Sheffield, it was their head office building. Sheffield company, they either built it or or repurpose this building as our head office, and as far as I know, Mappin Webb's still going. But there's still like a building site around here. And you can stand here with your camera looking at this, and this is a picture on my wall at home, thinking, wow. I'm not sure if it were more impressive when it was just the beautiful white granite buildings. But if I haven't blown your mind today, sorry, I can't. Not a lot else I can say. I mean, like I said, that's vile. And what I'll do is in the description, I'll put the original Mappin Webb building that was here, that got knocked down. Whoever allowed that should be in prison. So it's so strange. I'm just going to walk out of the city now, and you can just see people everywhere. And I can't remember it ever being like this at weekends. I've been coming in long before lockdown at weekends, and it wasn't flooded with people. So something's changed about. London City, it was a financial district that shut shop on a Friday night. So we're now walking down Poultry, and this was the other entranceway to Midland Bank on the other side. You can see it. You can see now it's the Ned. The other thing about this, all the banks were together, so at the end of the day they'd balance up and then they'd shift gold bars from one bank to another. And if you've ever watched the Bond film Goldfinger, it was done from the vaults within Midland Bank. So that's one last look at the city. We'll walk out now on Poultry and we're going to go to Cheapside, but I don't think it'll be very cheap on Cheapside. Not quite the Cheapside in Worksop. So you got number 1 Poultry. So this was the Mappin Webb building, number 1 Poultry. It's Buckle-Sbury Passage. See, it's City of London, and how they got it knocked down I don't know. One of the biggest travesties of the City of London. If you look at that link I gave you in the description, and there's lots of other buildings like that's gone. So I don't know whether it's impressive more in 1985 with all the old buildings than it is now. But I don't think there were all these clothes shops. There were the odd clothes shop where people bought stuff, but really it wasn't a retail area, the city. But I'm sort of heading out towards St. Paul's now. We just see fantastic architecture. Just zoom down that street. Hopefully we'll come towards St. Paul's. Look at the bikes around here. So we're on Cheapside now, as you can see. got another church here. I think this may be a Christopher Wren one. Or allegedly Christopher Wren. I'm heading towards Oxford Street, so I have to get back on the coach at Park Lane, and I'm still waiting to pick up my £200 for passing go. Not so impressive now, we're sort of moving away from the city, but it does give people a feel how the other half live. When you see the state of our northern cities, London's reading it out so much better. They've still got some exclusive shops, probably because people can afford it, they're not on 12 quid an hour. Thatcher shut down our manufacturing. I looked after those in the southeast of London. So we've got warehouses, call centres and shopping malls. And London's got highly lucrative banking industry. And they've pumped so much money into the banking industry. If they'd have pumped half the amount of money into the banking industry, half the amount of money they pumped into the banking industry into our manufacturing, we'd have a world-leading manufacturing. All the banks do is produce money for free, which causes inflation. So they're living off the back of us, the bankers, and I was one once. If I'd have stayed at HSBC and didn't leave in 2000, I'd have probably had £1 million in bank now. Or in assets, well, not in a house, but actually in stocks and shares. So that's really the end of the city. I'm up to St Paul's now, so I might just do a quick video of St Paul's, but if you can like the video, follow the channel and click on notifications for new videos in the future.